What's up guys, this is Riley from Hodson Motors. Today we are here with this freaking rad 1969 GMC K15. If you don't know who we are here at Hodson Motors, we build, buy, restore, and give away classic trucks. Do it through our website, hodsonmotors.com. And this truck was going to be one of those giveaways, but instead a guy came in and wanted to buy it from us, and we said, okay, so this is not a giveaway, but the truck is finished and ready to be shipped out. So we want to do a quick run around of the truck today, do a quick walk around, show you everything that we've done and what was done previous to us purchasing it. Also want to talk to you guys kind of about classic truck buying and how to get a good deal and kind of how to get into the classic truck world, because this was a great example of something that anybody could have bought and done a little bit of work and made a great classic truck to get into the scene. With that being said, let's hop into this video and show you all that's about. The truck is a 1969 GMC C15. Remember, Chevys were C10, K10, C20, K20, all that kind of stuff. GMC got the 1.5, so this is a GMC C15, but it's sitting on a 2005 GMC Yukon four-wheel drive chassis, so we just call it a GMC K15, even though in all reality this was a C15. But step side bed, really cool truck, and the fact that it's sitting on that modern chassis means it drives just phenomenally. But quickly, before we get into all the nitty gritty, I want to go over why this was a great truck to buy and why this is a truck like this is something that you guys should be looking for. People all the time, friends, family, people on social media are always hitting me up like, man, how did you find such a killer deal on that truck? Or how are you finding these trucks? What are you doing to buy them? And how do I get in without spending an arm and a leg? And first and foremost, what I would tell you to how to get into classics is to buy something like this, but you got to keep your eyes open for it. And you have to open your checkbook a little bit more, but in the long run, you will save the money. A lot of times people are looking for that $2,500, $5,000, maybe $7,500, entry point classic truck, but it needs everything. It's got an old school engine in it that, runs and drives, but drives like crap, and wiring's all over the place, needs upholstery, needs paint, needs suspension, needs everything. And you think, oh yeah, I got a great deal, it's $2,500. But then you still got to go drop an exorbitant amount of money to get it to the point where you really want it to be. Whereas if you were a little more patient and opened your checkbook a little bit more just for the get-go and took out a bigger chunk right out of the gate, you will be so much farther along. So this truck was on Facebook Marketplace for $20,000. And 20 grand scares away most people. They're like, I don't want to go drop 20 grand on a truck. But in reality, you're going to go drop $60,000 over the course of 2 years to get it halfway there. You know what I mean? Before you even get to paint, you're going to be in these things. If you're paying other people labor and that kind of stuff, you're going to drop $40, $50, $60,000. By spending 20 grand out of the gate, this truck, the engine was done, the transmission was done, the suspension was done. So much was done on the truck, and there was just other things that we had to clean up. But, the truck was in decent enough condition, but I was able to see the truck and see the ad and see through it and see what it needed to be done and say, okay, this can be made into something that is truly phenomenal for a lot less effort than some of the other things that you might find out there. So when we got the truck, it was already painted in this color scheme. All the chrome was pretty faded and dull, had some chrome, fuel 17-inch wheels on there, and had a bunch of dingleberries. Do we call them dingleberries? Stuff that needed fixed, little stuff. Windows were broken, and it didn't have four-wheel drive, and the guy listing it did a poor job with his ad listing. And this is another tip for you guys when buying a classic. Is like, you find a listing, and if somebody's got the listing incorrect, do some research, and because it's going to scare off other buyers. And that was the case with this truck. I bought it because I saw the listing, I read the listing. He had it listed improperly when he was talking about the transfer case. He had said that there was no transfer case in the truck, but it ran and drove excellently, and you could drive it home. And so people were like, what do you mean? How does it run and drive if there's no transfer case? Well, what he meant is that the transfer case that was in it was the electronic transfer case, and it needed a manual transfer case swapped in. I knew this, and so I wasn't afraid of it, and was like, all right, not a big deal. I know how to do that. That's easy. We can swap that in and make that swap in a couple of days. No big deal. So that's another thing that you guys should look out for is when you start to see stuff like that in listings, it's going to open the window for you a little bit to maybe get a better price, but at the same time, beat out some other buyers who are going to be a little bit cautious. That was the case with the guy who bought this truck. And at that point, we're going to move on. Those are just some good tips for you for buying classics. So that brings us to when we buy it. We buy the truck, we ship it home. It was in Texas, shipped it back here to Las Vegas. I was planning on giving this truck away as our next Chevy giveaway, Chevy, GMC, or GM giveaway, right? This was gonna be it. It was great. It was on a modern chassis, ran and drove excellently. We were just gonna clean this baby up, do the interior, and get it ready for a giveaway. And this guy named Justin, he lives out in Little Rock, Arkansas, he sent me an email and said, hey, I saw that you guys bought that black GMC and I was really looking to buy it, but I was nervous because of the listing and I didn't know what it needed, and the guy didn't seem to know what he was talking about, the guy who was selling it. So Justin was like, you know, I wanted to buy it, but I didn't trust the listing and I didn't have the confidence to buy it from the guy because he didn't seem to know what he was talking about either. But now that you guys have it and you know what you're talking about, would you sell it to me? And here at Hodson Motors, I don't flip vehicles. It's not what we do. I don't buy a truck and spit shine it and flip it for an extra $5 grand. It's not what I do. It's not our business model. It doesn't grow our business at all. We give trucks away so that you guys get a chance of winning one, but we have to give them away so we get more customers coming in. So I was really hesitant at first to flip the truck. But he said, listen, like I really want it and I want you guys to fix it up for me. And so it worked out. It was gonna be a customer build for us, but he was gonna get the truck that he wanted and he could be confident in it. So you know what? We said, okay, great, we're gonna sell it. We sold it to him, and then with that money, we went and bought our Come and Swap Suburban that we're gonna give away as our next GM giveaway. So with all that being said, let's hop into the truck and talk about all the goodies. So because I think the highlight of this truck, besides it just being like a cool, have a great stance, I think the highlight is what's under the hood. So let's pop it, show you what's under the hood first, and then we'll walk around the truck and show you what else is there. Under the hood, we have a 5.3 liter, GM LS based V8, 4L60 automatic, and then the transfer case is an NP241C. Used to be an NP246. That's the electronic controlled 241C, manual shift transfer case. So decent enough wiring up here up front. A little cold air, little air intake, whatever. But just tried our best to, when we got it, wiring was everywhere. Tried our best to just kind of leave things where they were, but loom it up, make it look decent. Just make it presentable. This is not a show truck by any means. Justin should be able to work this thing, drive it, and not really have an anxiety attack about, man, I got this $200,000 truck, I can't put a scratch in it. And that's kind of what I like about having a truck like this in this price range, is you can still use it and have fun with it and not care. But yeah, 5.3 LS V8, runs and drives excellently. Later we're going to drive and you'll see this thing has power for days. I don't know because I didn't do the engine tuning and neither did my buddy Getty. It came running and driving this good. I don't know if this engine is tuned. I don't know what it is, or I don't know if it's just because this thing is lightweight as all get out, but the truck absolutely boogies. It is fast, so we'll show you that later. Okay, so coming around the side here, what you'll notice, I think something that's really cool about the truck, but something that maybe some people don't like, is this cool satin black paint job. It's not perfect. This is a 5-footer. It looks cool. It looks great in parking lots, but it's not in perfect shape in all reality. Squatting down low here, we got some 33-inch mud terrain tires wrapped around 17-inch US Wheel Corp rat rod wheels with the chrome dog dishes. This look is freaking awesome, and when we got the truck, it had those chrome fuel wheels. This was one of the best things we did, was putting some steelies on it. Makes the truck look freaking rad. So, and the 33s fit the wheel openings perfectly, and the truck has the chassis has no lift. The chassis is bone stock, so it rides great. But with it being mounted on this chassis like this, you can clear 33s with no lift. Runs and drives and steers excellently. Kept all the chrome trim. When we got it, it was all weathered up, pitted up, looked nasty. A lot of this chrome trim is original trim, which is really nice. I have to say, bumpers are original, grill's original. But just a quick tip when restoring these classes, when you get chrome, is we took triple aught steel wool to all of this chrome, and you can save yourself a ton of money and just a ton of time. Just by scuffing this up with triple aught steel wool, it cleans it up and gets rid of a ton of the imperfections, and it just looks so nice. As we work our way down the side, something I love about this truck, and one of the reasons why I bought it in the first place, is I love step side. I think step sides are freaking cool, especially on lifted trucks. Step sides look buff, they look muscular. You get this rounded rear fender that just makes it look more stout. So in a lifted truck, I think the step side is the way to go. The bed's in great shape, just has a steel bed floor. It's obviously been used for work and stuff, it's not perfect. Maybe the owner later wants to change it and go to a bed floor, but that's up to him. For now, he'll be able to work it, haul lumber, do whatever he wants to do in this thing, and not really have to worry about beating it up. It's just a work truck, and that's great about the bed. Back here, chrome bumper, cool little hidden tailgate latch system back here. Tailgate straps, which is pretty nice, gets rid of the tailgate chains on the outside. Tailgate chains always beat up your paint job anyway, so I always love doing that. Some other notables on the truck are, did a little hideaway reverse light underneath the tailgate and got rid of the reverse lights that hung out here behind and underneath the brake lights. And then we did a backup camera as well for him. That way he can just drive this thing and have all the amenities that he needs. Let's hop inside the truck because that's where we did the most amount of work on this thing. We didn't repaint it. It came this color. We just cleaned it up and made it look a lot nicer. But let's hop inside. The interior is spectacular on this truck. Huge shout out right now to Ian's Auto Interiors here in Las Vegas. They did a bang up job on this truck. So let's go hop in and see that. So in here we have a really, really nice faux leather, a vinyl upholstery in here, diamond stitched. Just looks super, super, super clean. So we did the door panels, the dash pad, whole entire headliner. This is a complete headliner front to back. So starting at the window, it goes all the way back down the back of the cab. It ends where like the old school fuel tank would have been, but then we ran carpet all the way up to the back where that matches. Bench seat got reupholstered, all new foam with the bench seat as well. I love a bench seat, and I know a lot of people want to do buckets, but I think until you've had a long road trip in a bench seat, you realize like they are so freaking comfortable. And yeah, they don't hug you and hold you when you're going around tight turns, but for just driving and cruising, can't beat a bench seat. Forever sharp steering wheel with the GMC button, horn button, and then we had the upholstery shop wrap that to match as well. Shift boot done as well in that same upholstery. And that black on distressed brown look in here is just really, really, really nice. Some other notable mentions we've got in here are 6x9 retro sound premium speakers. Super nice, high quality speakers. They sound great. Best part about them, normally 6x9s, and you guys all know this is true. Normally 6x9s look like something out of the Fast and the Furious franchise, where they've got all sorts of crazy chrome grates and all sorts of crap like that. The best part about the retro sound stuff is that they are so low profile, but they sound great. It's a great option. We got vintage air conditioning in here, the dash pods as well, which is super cool. That way you don't have to like have one of those little hangers that are hanging out down low. But we've got vintage air AC and then a Boss single DIN but 9-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay as well. Backup camera is included in that. And this way he'll be able to drive it, plug his phone in, have Apple CarPlay, and have some nice new amenities, but still have that classic truck feel. And then to finish it all off, that wicked cool Dakota digital gauge setup. That little carbon fiber setup. I think that's discontinued. It's an older gauge setup that came with the truck when we bought it, but you know what? Still looks great, still works great, and I can't be a big enough advocate for doing gauges. Even if you're not going to choose Dakota Digital, just doing some sort of aftermarket gauge in your truck adds a ton of value and really is a huge game changer because you get accurate information. And you're more confident to drive your trucks when you know your truck is communicating with you properly. When you get proper coolant temperature sensor and proper oil pressure, you're going to know that your truck is actually running good, and you're not like, oh, am I going to overheat? Well, you know, because you've got your gauge right there and it works properly. So with that being said, I think the interior is my favorite part. Oh, one last notable mention. Truck has cruise control, believe it or not. A little switch here above the ignition and a button here on the dash, boom, you got cruise control. We didn't do that. I've never done cruise control in an old truck before ever in my life. And maybe I wouldn't have mounted it where the previous owner mounted it, but it's kind of freaking cool. With that being said, let's go drive this bad boy. And so you can see just how awesome it is, how quick it is, how great it drives and feels and everything like that. And so we'll go do a test drive, bring it back, and wrap this video up and call it a day. All right, so let's go for a quick little cruise. The truck is completely cold right now. We'll do a little cold start video for you guys, but this thing is just, I gotta say, the thing's phenomenal. Just starts right up. It's pretty awesome, just like you're driving a freaking, 2005 GMC Yukon. Honestly, it's great. So yeah, it automatic, shifter on the column, go down into drive, and we're off. So this interior, man, really was a game changer for this truck, just because it makes it just so stinking comfortable to sit in, and really makes the truck, even though it might not be the most perfect cosmetic truck, just makes it feel like $1 million. It really is awesome. One of the things that we had to troubleshoot while getting this truck up to snuff was it was having a transmission shifting problem, but it all came back to that transfer case that we had to go and swap out. We swapped out transfer cases, attached the VSS, the vehicle speed sensor, and with that vehicle speed, the new transmission, but it had an old nasty vehicle speed sensor, and so it was not shifting properly. And it was one of those, okay, what did we do to make this truck? It was shifting properly, and then it wasn't. What did we screw up? And it was kind of one of those, dingleberries that you just got to figure out. The ride, the steering, the suspension quality, everything is what you'd expect if you were driving a 2005, GMC Yukon. It just rides phenomenally, steers so good. It really is like a perfect daily drivable classic pickup. You get this old school body, you get the old school interior, but I think the problem with classics, and what a lot of people have with their issue with their classics, is that they're fun to drive, they've got character, and they've got class, but they're almost a little exhausting to drive. You can't just get in and fully relax like you can in a modern vehicle. You know, you're kind of listening for things and listening to make sure your engine's good, listening to make sure your timing's good, and you're kind of always just paying attention when you're driving a classic. Not in this thing. It is one of the only classics I've ever driven, and I've driven a lot of classics that have modern drive chains, but you're still always paying attention. With this thing, you get in and you really can disassociate and just freaking enjoy driving an old truck. And it's just like you can fully relax and just cruise. The one thing that is different from driving like a GMC Yukon is this thing has power for days, unlike any Yukon I ever driven. You know, the thing just boogies. And I don't know if it's because, you know, a modern Yukon would be much heavier than this, and this is a little lightweight, but it absolutely has the power to get up and go. Like, it'll just cruise. It absolutely boogies. So that's fun. Even, yeah, we got windows down right now, and, you know, we're doing 45, 50 miles an hour. It's, you know, maybe Chevy designed a very aerodynamic truck, but, you know, this thing is cruising. You're not getting buffeted by the wind all the time in your face, so you can cruise this thing windows down. However, it has that vintage air conditioning, which just is freaking perfect and blows ice cold. So that's super nice as well. And no, the thing is just a phenomenal truck to sit in. Nice to have all this Dakota digital gauges so you get nice accurate information all the time. And then we've got that Boss head unit in here with Apple CarPlay. The customer, Justin, you know, he wanted to be able to have a backup camera and drive this thing to work pretty frequently and be able to plug his phone in and not have to, you know, if he's got to have navigation or use his music or whatever. So it's nice to have that. And it's cool to have, you know, a single DIN screen, a single DIN radio that still has a large enough touchscreen to have stuff like Apple CarPlay. Justin's also talked about when his son turns 16, he's got a 15-year-old son, and when his son turns 16, he wants his son to be able to drive this to school. Rather than going out and spending a bunch of money on a newer vehicle, he wants him to be able to drive this. So I would absolutely feel confident letting my wife drive this car, letting my kids drive this car. Yeah, there's no airbags, but you know what? When you're driving an old truck, I do think you're a little more cautious. You pay attention a little bit more. I think, you know, that's just part of the name of the game. So even though there's no airbags, I think this thing's still be plenty safe. Got great brakes and everything else, but just the acceleration is just phenomenal. Man, it just runs like a bat out of hell. Steering is tight and quick. Like, you know, when we first got it, people were like, man, you guys should really solid axle swap and get rid of the independent front suspension. But in all reality, to have a truck that's going to be driven and commuted and you'll be able to play with it but to still have four-wheel drive, you know, but to have the independent front suspension like this, so you have good, quick, tight steering like that, like where you can just drive this thing every day one-handed, flips U-turns, has a great turning radius, man. I don't think if this was my truck, I don't think I'd be solid axle swapping. You know, if you're driving a big crew cab, diesel, yeah, you want to get rid of that IFS because it's going to be a weak point. But in a lightweight configuration like this, that IFS in a four-wheel drive truck like this is just freaking awesome. It rides so good. And it steers so good. So I wouldn't be swapping. Some more things to talk about. You know, like this distressed brown vinyl leather interior, super nice. But I love the cup holders in the bench seat. I have to say, that was not my choice. I was trying to pitch Justin on doing a center console, a bench seat center console, one that straps to the bench seat. And he said, well, why don't we just put cup holders in the bench seat? And I said, okay, you know, customer's always right, fine, do it. We did it, and you know, I think he was right. I think I've been wrong. I think the cup holders in the bench seat are freaking cool, and it fits my full 40-ounce Hydro Flask like perfectly fine. So, you know, I don't think you really need the center console. I think it's awesome. So I think Justin was dead on with that one. Here are a couple of revs. All right, she's back home safe and sound. Hoping to have this thing picked up and shipped out, you know, by early next week, and so he can start driving it. That being said, truck drives just insane. I am always shocked. I drive home all the time. I tell Justin, hey, you know, I just gotta get its test mileage in. You know, don't mind me just driving your truck, but it really is an awesome, awesome truck. It's a great, great, great example of like, if you get into this, you get into a truck, pay a little bit more up front, and then put a little bit of work into it, you can have a truck that's easily $50,000, $60,000 truck for $35,000, $40,000. I know it's hard for some people to take that massive bite, but if you do that, you get a phenomenal, phenomenal truck like this just right out the gate. It's an awesome truck. Especially after we did the upholstery, I was like, holy crap, why did I sell this thing? This thing is too cool. I would love to have it for myself. I think it's a rad truck. So if you like this video and you want to see more cool classic truck content and cool giveaways and all that kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube as we post more about the trucks that we're working on, trucks we've done in the past, and future giveaways. We are almost always giving away a truck. So make sure you check us out, subscribe, like this video. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook as well at Hodson Motors. And check out our website, hodsonmotors.com, for cool classic truck inspired merch and to get entered in to win a truck like this. You could be one of our next winners. You never know. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Have a good one.